Hello and welcome to the show. Today we have a very special guest, but before we start the show, let's have a talk with the producer.
Thank you for coming in today. Now, before we start the show, I want to thank the Cable 6 Studios for sponsoring us and providing us with the location of filming. Also, we have another sponsor for today called the Absolute Films Film Studios. They also helped us with the technical side of it, so thank you, and back to you, Leila.
Oh wow, Cindy's here!
Hi, Leila.
Hi.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Sure.
Wow, glad to be here.
What are the pros and cons of working in the business?
The pros and cons of working in acting or in Hollywood in general?
Acting.
Well, one of the pros are that you really get to do a lot of different jobs. I thought when I was younger, I'm like, oh, I want to be an attorney. Oh, I want to be a nurse. Oh, I want to do this. Jaws came out and I wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to swim with sharks and stuff. And then I thought, I'm like, well, I can't do all of that. I'm like, oh, I'll be an actor. And then I can do lots of different things. So one of the pros is that you really do get to play at your job and do an amazing varied body of work. But one of the cons is that, it's a very competitive business and there is no rhyme or reason. So there are plenty of people that you will see who are working that aren't particularly good, and there are plenty of people who aren't working that are really good. And so you'll look at things sometimes and go, wait, I don't understand it. The best people sometimes don't get the jobs, or there's no rhyme or reason to it. But a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, a lot of luck. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's a challenging kind of a job because it doesn't have a linear path. It doesn't. You don't go in high school and then you study theater arts and then you go to college and you study theater there and then you graduate and then you get a job. Whereas some other jobs. Perhaps even being a lawyer, you graduate, you go to law school, you intern at a firm, you get hired and you work at a firm and then you work your way up. There's no linear trajectory. It's all happenstance. And a director can be walking down the street, and famous story, Lana Turner, a very famous actress from the 50s, was sitting in a little soda, like a five and dime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she's sitting at the soda counter, and someone walked by and said, you should be in pictures. And so she ended up becoming famous after that. So she wasn't even out there trying, and she gets discovered, and that happens all the time too. So it's hard to say, because there is no linear path, and that's probably the most frustrating part about it, is really just trying to figure out the business.
In your opinion, what skills does one person need to have to be in the business?
You need to be really secure with who you are as a person and be okay with that, because you're going to get judged a lot. I remembered being someplace when I was younger and I was talking to an agent. I was trying to get some representation, and they said to me, you're kind of all American looking. And I was like, that's a bad thing? I was 25 years old. I was like, okay. And but it happened to be at a time when they weren't looking for all American people. They were looking for people with short, spiky hair and a little bit edgier. And so there's always going to be a time when you're going to put yourself out there and someone's going to go, no, not you. No, you're too old. No, you're too this.
Wow, so they're really picky, aren't they?
Well, they have a job to do, and they're really trying to cast very specific types or very specific people or very specific ideas in mind. Sometimes they're more flexible, and now they've certainly opened it up, and there are a lot more opportunities out there for diversity, and they have actors now who have disabilities. There are a lot more people of color. There are a lot more different relationships happening. So it's opened up a lot. But it's still a challenge because you are putting yourself out there to be judged, for someone to look at your work and almost sometimes right in front of your face go, sorry, that's not working. But then every once in a while they'll smile and go, okay.
It's been a terrific day having you here on the show, but I'm afraid we have to end it. So,
well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to visit with you and the folks here on Cape Out.